Have you noticed something interesting happening in the financial world lately? It seems like everywhere you look, on social media, in the news, even just talking with friends, people are bringing up silver again. And I'm not just talking about the hardcore precious metal investors or coin collectors. I mean everyday people, retail investors, and folks just trying to protect their savings, even people who usually couldn't care less about commodities are starting to pay attention. So what's going on? Why silver and why now? Is it truly undervalued, or is this just another hype train getting ready to leave the station? Or could we be witnessing a fundamental shift in how silver is valued and used in our modern world? That's exactly what we're going to explore in this video. This is the first part of a new series where we'll break down silver from every possible angle. Just a quick reminder, this is for educational purposes only and not financial advice. What makes silver so unique is that it lives a double life. On one hand, it's a precious metal. For thousands of years, civilizations have used silver as money, as a store of value, and as a shield against inflation and the debasement of currency. It has a long and storied history as real money. But here's where it gets really interesting. Silver is also a critical industrial metal. Unlike gold, which mostly sits in vaults or is worn as jewelry, silver gets used up. It gets consumed. It's one of the most electrically conductive metals on the planet. It's antimicrobial, and it reflects light better than almost any other element. Because of these properties, silver is absolutely essential for modern technology. This dual role, part money, part industrial powerhouse, is what makes silver's behavior so different from almost any other asset you can own. So, why the sudden resurgence in interest? There are a few big reasons driving this. First, you have inflation and currency concerns. Over the last several years, we've seen governments around the world take on unprecedented levels of debt. They've expanded the money supply and normalized huge budget deficits. History shows that when this happens, the purchasing power of paper money tends to erode over time. And historically, when people lose confidence in their currency, they turn to assets like silver. The second major driver is a massive increase in industrial demand. Think about the world we're building. Silver is a key component in solar panels, electric vehicles, all kinds of electronics, medical equipment, data centers, and even in advanced defense applications. As the world pushes towards electrification, green energy, and more powerful technology, the demand for silver grows right along with it. This demand isn't optional, it's structural. And then there's investor psychology. Silver has a reputation for being gold's wilder younger sibling. Gold usually makes the first move, but when silver finally decides to follow, its moves tend to be much faster and more dramatic. Investors who have watched this pattern play out before are starting to wonder if we're on the cusp of another one of those cycles. Now, let's talk about something many people overlook, the supply side of the equation. Silver has a potential supply problem. You see, silver is rarely mined on its own. The vast majority of silver, we are talking about 80% or more, is produced as a byproduct of mining for other metals like copper, lead, zinc, and even gold. What does that mean? It means that silver production doesn't just automatically ramp up when the price of silver goes up. A mining company's decision to dig is based on the economics of the primary metal they're after. So, if demand for copper slows down and a big copper mine scales back production, the supply of silver can tighten even if silver demand is skyrocketing. On top of that, we've already mined many of the world's highest grade, easy-to-reach silver deposits. Finding new ones is getting harder and more expensive. Bringing a new mine online can take years, sometimes even decades, and you have to navigate a maze of rising costs, environmental regulations, and political hurdles. The takeaway here is that silver supply is very inelastic. It's slow and difficult to increase, while demand can change on a dime. This brings us back to industrial demand because this part of the story is non-negotiable. A solar panel manufacturer can't just decide to use something else if silver prices spike. The efficiency of their panels depends on it. An electronics company can't easily substitute silver in high-performance components without sacrificing quality. And for critical medical and military applications, the price of the silver inside is almost irrelevant. What matters is reliability and performance. And here's the kicker. Once silver is used in these applications, it's often gone for good. Unlike gold, which is meticulously recycled and hoarded, a huge portion of industrial silver is used in such tiny amounts, spread across billions of phones, circuit boards, and other devices, that it's not economical to recover. This creates a slow, steady, and permanent drain on the world's available above-ground supply. Now, let's touch on a topic that causes a lot of confusion: paper silver versus physical silver. When you hear paper silver, think of financial instruments like futures contracts, ETFs, derivatives, or unallocated accounts at a bank. These allow investors to get exposure to the price of silver without ever touching a real physical bar or coin. Physical silver is just that, the actual metal you can hold in your hand, like coins, bars, or the inventory used by industrial manufacturers. Here's why the distinction is so important. The price you see flashing on your screen, the spot price, isn't always the price you'll pay for physical silver. During times of high demand or market stress, the price to get your hands on actual metal can be significantly higher than the paper price. This difference is called the premium. Availability also becomes a huge factor. Sometimes it doesn't matter what the price is if you simply can't find any to buy. Understanding the difference between these two worlds is key to understanding the silver market. One thing you absolutely must know about silver is that it is extremely volatile. This is both its greatest opportunity and its greatest danger. Silver has a long and well-documented history of making explosive moves in both directions. It's not uncommon for silver to drop 20 or even 30% in a very short period. It can also lie dormant for years, doing absolutely nothing, and then suddenly surge with incredible force. Because of this, silver rewards certain traits: patience, conviction, and a deep understanding of its fundamentals. But it brutally punishes others, using too much leverage, making emotional decisions, and trying to get rich quick. Anyone who tells you that silver is a sure thing or that it only goes up is either naive or not being honest with you. The reason I'm starting this series is not to hype silver or to promise you outlandish returns. It's to cut through all the noise, the emotional narratives, the unrealistic price targets, the fear-based selling on one side, and the blind optimism on the other. Silver is so fascinating because it sits right at the intersection of history, technology, economics, and human psychology. In our upcoming videos, we'll dive deeper. We'll compare silver to gold. We'll analyze historical price cycles. We'll look at the economics of silver mining. We'll investigate the controversial claims of market manipulation. And we'll discuss realistic long-term scenarios and who silver actually makes sense for in a portfolio. Silver isn't a get-rich-quick scheme, and it isn't a magic bullet for your financial goals. But it is, without a doubt, one of the most misunderstood and compelling assets in the world. And that very misunderstanding is exactly why interest in it keeps coming back again and again. If you want to truly understand silver instead of just reacting to the next flashy headline, then this series is for you. If you found this introduction helpful, do me a favor and hit that like button, subscribe so you don't miss the next video, and let me know in the comments what specific topics about silver you want me to cover. This is just the beginning. Thanks for watching.